Cho Karen Band, war widow from her porch, got sentenced to rehab service. The neighborhood was quiet, too quiet, until Karen's voice sliced through the morning like a chainsaw through butter. "You can't put that junk on your porch. It's an eyesore," she shrieked, her manicured finger jabbing at a modest wreath of red, white, and blue ribbons hanging on Emily's front door. Emily, a soft-spoken war widow, froze, her heart sinking as she realized the junk was her tribute to her late husband, a soldier who never came home. Emily had moved to Willow Creek 6 months ago, seeking solace in the sleepy suburb after losing Michael to a roadside bomb in Afghanistan. The wreath, adorned with his dog tags, was her way of keeping his memory alive. She'd hung it carefully, hoping the quiet cul-de-sac would be a place to heal. But Karen, the self-appointed queen of the Homeowners Association, had other plans. Karen's reign over Willow Creek was legendary. Her clipboard was her scepter, her rule book, her gospel. She patrolled the streets daily, her eagle eyes hunting for violations, a lawn an inch too long, a mailbox slightly askew, or, in Emily's case, a non-compliant memorial wreath. "Karen, it's just a wreath," Emily said softly, her voice trembling but firm. "It's for Michael. He died serving our country." Her hands clutched the porch railing, her knuckles white. Karen scoffed, tossing her highlighted hair. "Rules are rules, honey. This isn't a cemetery. Take it down, or I'll fine you." The words hit Emily like a slap, but she stood her ground, her grief hardening into resolve. She wasn't taking it down. Not today. Not ever. The tension simmered over the next week. Karen's campaign against Emily escalated from passive-aggressive notes taped to her door to daily visits, each more confrontational than the last. "You're bringing down property values," Karen snapped one evening, her voice loud enough to draw a neighbor's curious glances. Emily, exhausted from sleepless nights, tried to reason with her. "It's not hurting anyone. It's just a small tribute." But Karen was relentless, her obsession with control blinding her to Emily's pain. She filed an official HOA complaint, demanding the wreath's removal and threatening a $500 fine. Whispers spread through Willow Creek. Some neighbors sided with Karen, citing the sanctity of HOA rules. Others, like old Mr. Thompson, a Vietnam vet, muttered about Karen's heartlessness. The divide grew, splitting the neighborhood into factions. Emily felt the weight of every stare, every hushed conversation, but she refused to remove the wreath. It was her last connection to Michael, a symbol of his sacrifice. She began to notice small acts of support, a neighbor leaving cookies on her porch, another offering to mow her lawn, but Karen's wrath overshadowed these kindnesses. Then came the twist. Sarah, a quiet single mother who lived across the street, emerged as an unexpected ally. Sarah had kept to herself since moving in, her life consumed by raising her autistic son, Liam. But one evening, as Karen berated Emily in front of a small crowd, Sarah stepped forward, her voice shaking but clear. "You're bullying a widow. Karen, this isn't about rules, it's about your ego." The crowd gasped. Sarah, the wallflower, had never spoken out before. Her words shifted the mood, emboldening others. Mr. Thompson joined in, his gravelly voice recounting his own losses in war. "That wreath stays," he growled, glaring at Karen. Karen, unaccustomed to defiance, doubled down. She escalated the complaint to the HOA board, demanding an emergency meeting. The night of the meeting, the community center was packed, the air thick with tension. Emily stood at the podium, her hands trembling as she held Michael's dog tags. "This wreath isn't just decoration," she said, her voice breaking. "It's my husband's memory. He gave everything for this country, and I won't let anyone erase him." Tears streamed down her face, and the room fell silent, save for Karen's indignant huff. Karen rose, her heels clicking sharply on the floor. "This is about standards, not sentiment," she declared, waving the HOA rulebook. "If we let one person break the rules, the whole neighborhood falls apart." Her voice dripped with condescension, but her argument faltered as Sarah stood again. holding up her phone. "I recorded you." "Karen," she said, her tone icy. "You've been harassing Emily for weeks, even threatening to tow her car. That's not in your precious rule book." The room erupted in murmurs as Sarah played the recording. Karen's voice, shrill and venomous, threatening to make Emily's life hell. The revelation turned the tide. Neighbors who had stayed neutral now voiced their disgust. Mr. Thompson slammed his fist on the table, demanding Karen's resignation as HOA president. The board, cornered by the mounting evidence and public outrage, voted to dismiss Karen's complaint and allow the wreath to stay. But the conflict wasn't over. Karen, humiliated and enraged, stormed out, vowing revenge. The next morning, Emily woke to a nightmare. Her porch was vandalized, flower pots smashed, the wreath torn apart, Michael's dog tags missing. A note, scrawled in Karen's unmistakable handwriting, read, "You'll regret crossing me." The destruction was a gut punch. The loss of the dog tags a fresh wound in Emily's heart. Neighbors rallied around her, helping clean the mess. But the damage was done. Emily's grief, once private, was now a public spectacle, and Karen's cruelty had crossed a line. Word of the vandalism spread like wildfire, amplified by Sarah's social media posts. The story reached a local news outlet, which ran a segment on HOA Karens' war on a widow. The backlash was swift. Karen's phone buzzed with angry messages from strangers. Her inbox flooded with accusations. Her pristine reputation unraveled as former allies distanced themselves. But Karen wasn't done. She filed a defamation lawsuit against Sarah, claiming the recordings were doctored. The move backfired spectacularly when Sarah's lawyer presented time-stamped evidence, proving the recording's authenticity. The court date arrived, a packed courtroom buzzing with anticipation. Emily took the stand, her voice steady despite her pain. She recounted Michael's sacrifice, the wreath's significance, and Karen's relentless harassment. Sarah's recordings were played, each clip a nail in Karen's coffin. The judge, a stern woman with a no-nonsense demeanor, leaned forward. "Miss Larson," she addressed Karen, "your actions were not only vindictive, but destructive to this community. You've abused your authority and caused irreparable harm." The room held its breath as the judge delivered her ruling. Karen was ordered to pay for the damages to Emily's property and to perform 200 hours of community service at a local veterans rehabilitation center. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. Karen, who despised Emily's tribute to a veteran, would now serve those who had fought like Michael. As a final blow, the HOA board stripped Karen of her presidency, replacing her with Mr. Thompson. Karen's face crumpled, her bravado shattered. She left the courtroom in silence, her head bowed under the weight of her own actions. Emily, though victorious, felt no joy. The dog tags were still missing, a loss that cut deeper than any court ruling could mend. But the neighborhood rallied around her. Sarah organized a fundraiser to replace the damaged porch items, and Mr. Thompson carved a new wooden plaque for Emily's door, engraved with Michael's name and rank. The wreath was restored, now joined by a small flagpole bearing the POWMIA flag, a gift from the community. Months later, Emily sat on her porch, the new wreath glinting in the sunlight. She traced her fingers over the plaque, her heart heavy but healing. Karen, meanwhile, was seen at the Veterans Center, scrubbing floors and serving meals. Her designer clothes swapped for a volunteer smock. Whispers followed her neighbors recounting her fall. Veterans sharing knowing looks. Karma, it seemed, had a long memory. The story of Emily and Karen sparked heated debates online. Was Karen's punishment fair, or too harsh? Should HOA rules trump personal tributes? Or was Emily's wreath a sacred exception? The comments sections overflowed with opinions, some defending Karen's right to enforce rules, others praising the judge's poetic justice. Emily read a few, then set her phone down. She didn't need validation from strangers. Michael's memory lived on, not just in the wreath, but in the community that had stood by her. What do you think? Was justice served? Or did the punishment go too far? Share your thoughts. Let's talk about what's right and wrong in this messy human story.